Hi everybody, it's Gene here with another tutorial video for our synth, the Recursion Studio. In this video we are going to be going over the parameters that control the simulation running on the synth. So first of all, as always, we have video plugged in, we have power plugged in, and the synth is updated to the most recent version. So let's get started. So we all hopefully know by now that the fundamental building block of the synth is a module, where a module is doing some kind of processing, either video processing, generating waveforms, being an effect, or something like that. And modules are plugged into each other. For instance, on the fractal module, we have a seed module, a recurse module, a color module, and a modulation module. All right. At the root level of the create page, you can tap on macros right here, and you can see what is being controlled by these 5 knobs. And these are parameters. So in the fractal instrument, we have about 100 numerical parameters. And yeah, so you know how like on a guitar pedal, you might have a knob that controls the amount of distortion, or a URAC module, you might have like a knob that controls frequency for a filter or something like that. And that's basically what a parameter is here. And parameters on the synth come in multiple types. So you can get to this page right here, the parameter info page, either by going to the create page, tapping on macros or parameters and tapping on one of these, or you can push down the knob, scroll over to info, and then let go of the knob and you get to the exact same page. So let's zoom into that page a little bit. All right, this is the parameter info page. First of all, it shows you what the parameter is and gives you a little bit of a description. Then it shows you which module the parameter lives in. So the instruments are created by networks of modules. The fractal instrument has about 40 modules, and they kind of go in chains. Right now, this is the shape module, the seed module, of the fractal module, so we're 3 levels deep. And there's a bit of a difference between macros and parameters. So macros are parameters taken from the entire module chain that are kind of brought to the top level. So you don't have to dive down into modules in order to get access to the parameters. And the instrument comes by default with 2 pages of parameters. You can actually tap right here to change what's on the knobs. And these are macros. These are all gotten from different levels deeper within the module network. But then when you dive down into a module, you actually see the parameters in that module. So there's a bit of a difference between macros and parameters. They're the same kind of numerical controls, but the macros live at the top level of the instrument. The parameters live kind of throughout the network, and they're scattered throughout there. All right. And again, you can just tap on any of these. You see where in the effect amount parameter of the seed module of the fractal instrument. And yeah, you got a bunch of information here. There's this whole section on modulation down here, which we'll get to in a bit. Not in this video, but the important things to know are you can see the value. You can control the value with the first knob here. It's not going to do anything because I don't think we have an effect loaded. But let's go back down to here and go to this parameter. So this is a macro for the width parameter. This width parameter lives multiple modules deep, and now we can kind of control it with the first knob, and we actually see we're doing something. You can change the sensitivity right here if you want more precise control. And another thing to know is that parameters come in different types. Most of them are just normal continuous parameters, which are going to be a value from 0 to 1. This actually tells you the minimum and maximum of the parameter right here. But there are some discrete parameters. There's some on-off parameters where you toggle an effect on or off. There's some parameters which are like whole numbers, like an image selector, for instance. So we can go right here, swap out the image texture module. And if you go in here, you see that it has a parameter. And discrete parameters and on-off parameters live on the buttons. The numerical parameters, the continuous ones, live on the knobs. So right now I'm just pushing this button and it's cycling through this parameter. You can tap on that and you actually see that it's a discrete parameter. It has a range right here. It tells you the current value and so forth. So we're just cycling through a discrete parameter. One last thing to know, it's a little more complicated, but there are some parameters that are 2-dimensional. You can either think of those as a point in an XY plane, left, right, up, down, or you can think of them as complex numbers. So right now, this parameter C0 is a complex number. It has an X coordinate, and a Y coordinate. But you can also think of it radially, where you have a radius from the distance and an angle. It's a little more advanced, but basically all you need to know is anytime you see a dot by a parameter, that means it's part of a two-dimensional complex number. Like this A parameter right here, this is controlling the angle of the A parameter. See, angle. This is controlling the X coordinate of the B parameter. And you can get in here and you can do the Y coordinate as well. That's the basic overview of parameters. Another thing to know is parameters can be modulated, which we're going to get to in the next video. You can map any parameters to any I/O input you have, like to CV values, to MIDI signals, and things like that. And so you have a large degree of control. You can really quickly bring a parameter deeper in the module network to the top level as a macro by typing on this. And then, yeah, that gives you the default configuration for creating a macro. And then you can also create LFOs for parameters, so you can make them just oscillate. So let's just start that LFO, and now we have an oscillation. So there's an internal LFO system for animating parameters as well. Anyways, I think that is it for this video. This is the point where these videos are starting to get a little more advanced, but if you really want to understand the synth, you have to start diving into this kind of stuff. So I think that's it, and I believe the next video we're going to start covering the modulation system a little bit. All right, thanks a lot, guys.